Hi, Chris Good here. This is a lecture for PSYC2050, and we're talking about tobacco and other forms of nicotine. Now, in full disclosure, I should tell you guys that I graduated from R.J. Reynolds High School in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. That's named after a tobacco family. Very much like Philip Morris in Virginia, R.J. Reynolds was and still is a major tobacco company, although they've diversified some other products as well. We'll talk more in class about my history growing up in a tobacco town in Winston-Salem. So, for years, tobacco companies tried to find a safer cigarette. We've known for a long time, since the early 1960s, that smoking tobacco causes lung cancer and other really nasty diseases. And since even before that time, tobacco companies were trying to make safer cigarettes. Light or low nicotine, low tar cigarettes are still manufactured. However, smokers are very good at adjusting their smoking behavior. And because, as we described in class, the lighter tar, the lower tar, lighter cigarettes, the low nicotine cigarettes are manufactured in such a way such that holes are poked in around the perimeter of the filter. You cover those up with your fingers, sometimes unconsciously, and smokers can increase the amount of nicotine back to what their brains are used to getting. Tar is the stuff in cigarette smoke that contains the nitrosamine cancer-causing compounds. It's not the nicotine itself that is the carcinogen, although it is not a drug that's risk-free. We'll talk about that when we get to the mechanism, but to reduce the tar content, companies manufacture various types of filters and things like that. The machines that are used to measure the amount of nicotine and tar in a cigarette don't always smoke cigarettes the way that people do. Those machines do actually smoke, so they puff a cigarette until it's burned down, and they measure what came into the machine. People, on the other hand, don't smoke like machines. They vary their smoking practice in order to get the amount of nicotine, the exact amount of nicotine that they want. They can do that by smoking more or fewer cigarettes. They can do it by inhaling more deeply, holding the smoke in their lungs for a longer period of time, covering up the holes with their fingers, or simply taking the filters off of the cigarettes. Those are all of the above are ways that you can increase the amount of nicotine that's being delivered to your brain. Smokeless tobacco, or dip, or snuff, does have some benefits in that you're not lighting it on fire and inhaling it. However, you're still exposing the tissues of your mouth, your gums and teeth and tongue, to the same cancer-causing compounds that are in the cigarette smoke. Although use increased during the 1970s, as reports of smoking dangers came out, there is less lung cancer risk, there's still serious health and cosmetic concerns of smokeless tobacco, and a risk of dental disease and oral cancer because of those same carcinogens. And of course, nicotine dependence is another side effect of using tobacco products in any form. There are new forms of tobacco products available. Cigar bars have become very popular. Near our campus here at Georgia State University, there's at least several hookah establishments where you can smoke tobacco mixed with fruits and some other spices to give it a distinctive flavor through a shared water pipe called a hookah. Now, there are non-tobacco nicotine delivery systems that are available, such as vaporizers. Vaporizers use electronics to heat and vaporize a nicotine solution, a liquid nicotine solution, and it's not smoke that's being inhaled from a vaporizer. There are no tobacco-related carcinogens, and there may be other things added to that to the liquid that is vaporized that may not be entirely safe either. However, the nicotine that's being inhaled there carries with it all the same cardiovascular risks that smoking does. So it's the nicotine that increases blood pressure, increases heart rate, may lead to heart disease, and although using a vaporizer to get a nicotine solution into your lungs eliminates the nitrosamine cancer-causing compounds, it's still the nicotine that's responsible for those cardiovascular risks. Tobacco smoke, on the other hand, has all of those nasty compounds that are carcinogens, and so you're exposing your lungs to carcinogens when you smoke. Not everyone who smokes dies of lung cancer. In fact, a minority of people, a small minority, will ever get lung cancer. Only about 15% of smokers who never quit end up dying that way. However, most cases of lung cancer are found in smokers and not in non-smokers. So about 85% of all lung cancer deaths were in smokers. That, coupled with the cardiovascular disease and other lung diseases such as chronic obstructive pulmonary disease and emphysema, to name just a couple, contribute to making smoking the single greatest avoidable cause of death. So add all these together, and that's a lot of pain and suffering that could be prevented had people never started smoking in the first place or were able to quit. These are very serious costs. There are other costs of smoking as well. Recent rules, even here on campus, have forced smokers into a type of social isolation, including physical isolation. You're not allowed to smoke in buildings. You're technically not allowed to smoke on campus. We are a non-smoking campus and have been for some time. That rule's not particularly enforced very rigidly at present. There are also cosmetic concerns. Smoking, can make your skin look older. It's expensive. It's extremely expensive now more than ever to smoke. It's risky to light something on fire, particularly if you're sleepy or in bed. And people have died from falling asleep with a lit cigarette. There's a cost to society as well in terms of the pollution, not just the secondary smoke, but the cigarette butts that are left over after smoking is done, and not every smoker is very considerate about disposing of their smoking waste. That secondhand smoke is itself a carcinogen. In 1993, the EPA classified secondary smoke coming off of a cigarette, as a carcinogen. And we can differentiate between smoke that's sort of coming off the end of a lit cigarette. We refer to that as side stream smoke. Mainstream smoke is the smoke that's inhaled by the smoker and then exhaled, and it's very much the same compound. It is a carcinogen, and when you smoke and other people are around, you're exposing other folks to those harmful chemicals. So the idea of passive smoking, or non-smokers inhaling cigarette smoke from the environment, is yet another cost of this destructive habit. So let's get to the mechanism about nicotine. It's actually quite simple. Nicotine acts postsynaptically on receptors for a neurotransmitter that is called acetylcholine. Acetylcholine receptors in the central nervous system are transmitter-gated ion channels, so they have a place for acetylcholine to bind, and when it binds, the channel opens and sodium comes into the cell. And these receptors bind nicotine so well, we refer to them as nicotinic. Nicotinic acetylcholine receptors are the ones that bind nicotine and then pass sodium into them. They are postsynaptic and therefore are excitatory. I'm oversimplifying a little bit at this point because nicotine has another effect in that it doesn't let go of the receptor for acetylcholine very easily, and so will sit in the binding site and block the action of acetylcholine in the synapse. So although initially it has this agonist effect of activating the receptor, it then has a longer lasting antagonist effect. And so we refer to nicotine as a mixed agonist-antagonist of the acetylcholine receptor. And that is the mechanism of the drug in the synapse. So, a recent Surgeon General's report reported that cigarettes and other form of tobacco are addicting, that it is nicotine that's the drug that causes the addiction, and that the processes that determine tobacco addiction are similar to those that determine addiction to other drugs like heroin or cocaine. Initially, this report was somewhat controversial because these are very bold statements. However, the Surgeon General has stood by it. The science backs all of these statements up 100%, and it's my hope that they'll inform policy further. Good news. If I can stop smoking, and I am a former smoker, I believe anyone can stop smoking. It's very difficult, but not everybody succeeds the first time. The average number of times that it takes to actually finally quit smoking once and for all is about 4. So if you've tried and failed to quit smoking before, do not give up. Keep trying. There are a lot of different ways to stop smoking. You don't have to go cold turkey, although recent evidence suggests that most people who succeed ended up just stopping abruptly. It's very difficult, but that is one way that you can do it. There are drug therapies that can help you stop smoking. The most common and easy way to do it is by replacing the nicotine. So you can do this with the vaporizer, you can do it with the patches or the gums or the lozenges or the pills, anything like that. But you can use nicotine without smoking tobacco products. There's an antidepressant drug, bupropion, that is marketed under the trade name Zyban. And it is an interesting antidepressant. It is a selective norepinephrine and dopamine reuptake inhibitor and does not work so well in serotonin. And it's helped many people stop smoking. It decreases cravings and improves mood during the quitting process. Like in many other disorders, a combination of counseling and pharmacological treatment works best to help people manage this drug dependence. That's all we have for tobacco products and nicotine, and we'll see you next time.